Some states in Nigeria are increasingly experiencing annual flooding during the rainy season, and increasingly a link is made between flood incidences and climate change. Flooding threatens sustainability because it negatively affects the economy, health, social life, and environment. In fact, flooding constitutes a threat to Nigeria achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, especially as some of them relate to eradicating poverty and hunger, as well as providing clean water and sanitation. Now, in the case of Nigeria, flooding has had a major impact on the country's development goals in relation to the social, economic, and environmental targets. Addressing Nigeria's perennial flooding is important for the country to make progress, even as human-induced causes of flooding need urgent attention. Weekend File tonight is on 2022 flooding impact and mitigation challenges. Do stay with us for situation reports from states plus studio discussion with Clement Nze, Director General, Nigerian Hydrological Services. I am Kenen Ima Abudike. The news now. Let's start off with security matters as a theater commander, Joint Task Force North East Operation Hadinkai Major General Christopher Musa says the military will continue to search for all unaccounted persons and Chibok girls within the theater. General Musa stated this when he presented 3 more rescued Chibok girls with their infants at the headquarters of the theater command in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. Maimuna Garba reports.
The rescued girls are Ruth Bitrus with a baby of about 2.5 years, Kauna Luka with a 1-year-old daughter, and Hannot Musa nursing a 1.5-year son and a 5-year-old child. According to the theater commander, Major General Christopher Musa, the rescued girls are undergoing medical examinations, after which they will be reunited with their families.
Ruth Bitrus with her child escaped from Okuba camp in Sambisa and was intercepted by armed troops at Bama. On 25th July 2022, troops of Operation Hadinkai rescued 2 Chibok girls named Kauna Luka with a child and Hannatu Musa with 2 children at Olari General Area.
General Musa said kinetic and non-kinetic activities have partly compelled some terrorists to seek alternatives to terrorism by taking advantage of other avenues to surrender, as over 70,000 terrorists with their families have so far surrendered, with more than 120 suspected terrorists arrested, while over 60 were neutralized.
Maiduguri Damboa Road was reopened to ease economic activities. Movement along the road since then has been hitch-free.
General Musa said the theater, in conjunction with the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, have commenced review of cases of detainees at the Joint Investigation Center in Maiduguri. Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
In the meantime, Nigerian Air Force is developing a comprehensive master plan for the actualization of Aviation City to be sited in Osogbo, the capital of Osun State. It will serve as center of excellence for aircraft manufacturing, maintenance, repairs, and production of unmanned aerial vehicles. Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Oladayo Amao, said this at a formal induction of new students of Air Force Institute of Technology, Kaduna. Haruna Mohammed reports.
The establishment of Aviation City is in line with the focus of the Nigerian Air Force to look inward and develop indigenous technology in line with global best practice. It will reduce over-dependence on other countries for acquisition of fighter jets and other military hardware.
We continue to support the idea and aspirations of the Institute.
While addressing students of the Institute, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Oladayo Amao, said the Nigerian Air Force Institute of Technology will continue to be a center of excellence in character molding and academics. He noted the global paradigm shift from conventional to science and technology-driven knowledge, hence the need for Nigeria to key in.
I also believe that the innovations are not only on the surface, but also within the laboratories and academic building.
We want people who will create things, and that we hope will be where they will be focusing on for the improvement of the society.
1,640 students were inducted for degree and other programs offered by the institute. In Kaduna, I'm Haruna Mohammed, NTA News.
Away from security, the federal government's drive to diversify the economy is receiving a boost as 900 youths and women are to benefit from the Livelihood Improvement Family Enterprise Life ND program in Bayelsa State. Funded by the federal government and the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, participants were urged to dedicate themselves to the objective of the program. Ebenimi Zitimiola reports.
The 900 participants drawn from 100 communities in Bayelsa State are the second batch of beneficiaries of the Livelihood Improvement Family Enterprise Life ND program. They are to undergo a 3-month training and mentorship on plantain farming, cassava, poultry and aquaculture, and subsequent empowerment.
We are also bringing a new category of beneficiaries called the quick win, which is the value chain of these 4 commodities, which is the marketing aspect of it and also the storage aspect of it. It's a project that is needs to be encouraged. The state government is also trying their best, paying the counterpart fund.
With the experience we are having with the ADPs, that's why I want to mold some young farmers so that they will become model.
Participants, including Kosigina Imo, a physically challenged person, expressed gratitude to the federal government and its partners for the opportunity.
Actually, it will benefit me well for him to set up my own fish training.
Program is very good. It's like a life booster.
Blueprint of the program is also good in the sense that there is an incubation period and also there is also a period for enterprise and mentorship.
The first set of 218 beneficiaries trained and mentored had successfully graduated and been supported in agricultural enterprise. Enyenekwa, Ebinimi, Zitemiola, NTA News.
Now, Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma says job creation remains the most viable means to tackle insecurity in Nigeria. The governor restated this after securing clearance certificate from Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON, to restart Standard Shoe Factory in Imo State. Salihu Gwanara reports.
With the successful signing and formal handing over of certificates between Imo State Government and the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, another feather is added to the cap of the Imo State Governor, Hope Uzodinma, having taken steps to revive the Imo Standard Shoe Factory. This gesture, he assured, will be a continuous exercise as part of his administration's agenda to stimulate the economy and fulfill his desire to rebuild Imo State.
As at the time we spoke, the debt of over 1.6 billion, which was negotiated down, some interest elements waived, were fully paid, full and final payment, and the industry has been recovered. Now the next challenge is getting money to rehabilitate the industry. It is already an agreement all over the world that part of this security all over the world is occasioned by unemployment of our young men and women. And it is by things like this that we'll get a solution to it.
Going to lead to job creation, is going to jumpstart Imo State economy, and it's going to turn things around. The news will change.
When fully put to use, the Standard Shoe Factory will employ about 5,000 workers and create sustainable economic value chain. In Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
In another development, Ohaneze Ndibo Worldwide has rolled out its latest plans for sustainable economic development of the Southeast. As part of this vision, the Igbo Socio-Cultural Group wants Igbo businessmen and women home and abroad to invest more in the Southeast to ensure a competitive and industrialized region. The decision was reached at the inaugural meeting of Ohaneze Council of Business Leaders in Abuja. Neka Oko reports.
The creation of Council of Business Leaders, an arm of Ohaneze Ndigo Worldwide, comes at a critical time when the Southeast is plagued by many fundamental challenges hindering its development. a situation which is worsened by a combination of growing insecurity and youth restiveness. Rising from the inaugural meeting held behind closed doors, the group resolved that repairing the broken walls and repositioning the zone has become more urgent.
We have our people who, by dint of hard work, have made successes in trade, in industry, in commerce. So they have assembled today, and we have taken a decision today that we are not going to depend on government or anybody. We are going to take our destiny in our own palms and make sure that Igbo land is industrialized.
The group is also seeking to reintroduce coal as source of power supply, as well as establish a university in the southeast from which the next generation of corporate entrepreneurs can emerge.
We want to introduce forward linkages and backward integration in Igbo land so that you see a situation we go into manufacturing.
Known for their enterprise and spirit, the Igbo leaders believe the Southeast has what it takes to rebuild and develop their land without necessarily waiting for the government. In Abuja, Neka Oko, NTA News.
In furtherance to its regulatory mandate in the telecommunications sector, Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) organized a town hall meeting in Ibadan to interface with its consumers towards enhanced service delivery. Ifoluwa Omosule was there and now reports.
Town hall meeting organized was an avenue to dialogue with representatives of some youth, women and men groups as they note that roles telecommunication play in the socio-economic development of the nation are numerous, and challenges such as vandalization of the telecommunication equipment and disruption of telecommunication activities will affect service delivery negatively.
It's impossible for the security agencies to be at every site where you have telecom infrastructure. So we need the cooperation of members of the public.
It's just part of one of the things that we do to bring to the attention of our stakeholders the various thematic issues that we are having in the industry.
If we are not doing anything about the breaking into this equipment, we are going to be affected at the long run.
Remember the time the service providers came into existence. We spent a lot of money. When you want to get line, it's problem. When you want to buy handset, it's problem. But with the advent of the NCC, we are able to enjoy what we have.
The meeting, which is the third edition, afforded the network consumers the opportunity to lodge their complaints, and representatives of the network providers were available to attend to them. In Ibadan, Ifeoluwa Omosule, NTA News.
With the official reopening of Kamba border in Kebbi State, the State Command of the Nigeria Customs Service has realized about 100 million naira in the last 1 month. Controller Joseph Atta, while addressing newsmen, said revenue generation remains his topmost priority. Abdullahi Umaru Ilalu reports.
Controller Kebbi area of the command, Joseph Atta, explained that following the reopening of the Kamba border, the command embarked on stakeholders' engagement, including the Nigerian authorities and town hall meetings, to review the challenges responsible for low revenue generation at the border, and the move has started yielding dividend. The income skyrocketed to about 100 million naira in just a month, which is unprecedented. The command intercepted a Toyota Hilux van 2021 model and other assorted contrabands worth about 50 million naira.
In line with our core function of trade facilitation, the command has facilitated the export of 7,377 metric tons of goods through Kamba border. Items formerly exported include coal, onions, pepper, ginger, among others. This clearly shows that the reopening of this border is stimulating economic activities across this border.
Joseph Atta said the command is always ready in carrying out its mandate. Abdullah Omar Ilalu, NTA.
Now, the Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar, has declared Saturday, 30th July 2022 as the first day of Muharram 1444 after Hijrah. This was contained in a statement by the Chairman Advisory Committee on Religious Affairs, Sultanate Council of Sokoto, Professor Sambo Wali Junaidu. The statement says the Sultanate Council Committee, National and other moon sighting committees did not receive any report of sighting of the new moon of Muharram on Thursday, which is the 29th of Zulhijjah, 1443 after Hijrah. The Sultan felicitates with Nigerian Muslims and wishes them Allah's guidance and blessings in the new year. Sultan Sa'ad also urged the Muslim Ummah to continue to pray for peace, progress and development of the country. In politics, Senator Magnus Abe has been elected as governorship candidate of SDP in the party's substitution primaries held in Port Harcourt. Kingsley Amajiri reports.
By the provision of Section 33 of the 2022 Electoral Act, a political party is expected to hold fresh primaries within 14 days for substitution of its candidate in the event of death or withdrawal. INEC in Rivers State said SDP officially informed them of the withdrawal of his candidate, which informed the rationale they monitored the rescheduled governorship primaries of the party in Rivers State. Chairman of SDP Governorship Substitution Electoral Committee, Mohammed Ibrahim, declared Senator Magnus Abe as the duly elected candidate of the party.
Magnus Abe has participated in the substitution primaries and has scored 30 valid votes and is returned elected.
Ibrahim charged party faithful in the state to go round the nook and crannies of Rivers State to champion the realization of Senator Abe as Governor of Rivers State come 2023. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
We need to document history so that people coming after us can see things in their true perspectives. This was the message of media veteran Cordelia Okwama to guests at the launch of her book, Accidental Journalists in Nigeria's Political and Economic History. Oyeyemi Ajayi reports that the book comes as part of activities marking her retirement from service after 35 years of active journalism with the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
For some, putting pen to paper is a Herculean task which they avoid when they can. But for Cordelia Ukwema, it is what she did for 35 years as a journalist working with the Nigerian Television Authority. The 15-chapter book, Accidental Journalist in Nigeria's Political and Economic History, is an autobiography which captures Ukwema's life and work in journalism, something she was initially unprepared for, but one which became her passion.
In the course of her professional career, she was involved in such high-octane engagements as covering an international sporting event, the Under-16 Junior Handball Tournament in 1989.
For many, her experience and vast knowledge is worthy of sharing, with emphasis that women must begin to document their achievements for the younger generation to apply.
This is part of the history of Nigeria now, and we need people to document their experiences.
So for she to have been able to combine this with her line of duty, it's very commendable.
Women in NTA are doing good. I also wrote a book, so she has written one. Eugenia Abutu has written. I hope that more women would write. I never set out to be a journalist, but I fell in love with the job, and the passion that kept me moving, that passion kept me going, and I'll be a journalist for life.
No, I think the NTA has a deliberate plan to ensure that the senior ones mentor the younger generation. There is a need for continuity.
The 238-page book chronicles not only the author's role, but also the role of the largest television station in Africa, NTA, towards the nation's growth and development. Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
This is Weekend File on the NTA Network Service. There will be more stories after the break. Do stay.
Never again should this happen.
We have passed through this path before, and it was not good for us. I remember the horror, the crime, the blood, dead bodies everywhere. I almost lost my mind. I could not sleep. I remember the cry of innocent children. Many lives were changed forever. We shall never go through that path again. Let us all stand in solidarity with our armed forces, our men and women. Oh, we must stand in truth, in honesty, to build a vibrant nation, a nation that you and I can be proud of.
We are the dynamic global energy company of choice, steering the course of Nigeria's biggest export industry. With years of commitment, delivering greater value and improving lives, NNPC is transformed to better meet your everyday energy needs and retain the position as the largest contributor to the Nigerian economy, generating clean, sustainable energy with integrity, excellence, and creating value for all stakeholders. We are NNPC Watt.
There are certain moments in the day when I need my me time to just unwind and indulge. Cadbury 3-in-1 hot chocolate.
Now available in 30 grams and 450 grams.
It's been a long day and nothing could feel better than sleeping comfortably. So relax. You won't be bothered by leakage or irritation tonight. Huggies Dry Comfort has a super fast dry layer that quickly absorbs wetness for all night dryness and comfort. So baby can wake up comfy and dry as the night before. And you keep doing great, Mom.
Now in a new look pack, available from 650 Naira.
Sometimes before I step on stage, my mind gets clouded. But that's when I know it's time to take that deep, tum-tum cooling breath.
My son has always dreamt of being in the spotlight. That's why I give him Born Vita for everyday vitality that gives him the strength to pursue his dreams. Born Vita, strength to dream.
The National Broadcasting Commission has observed with concern the misuse of the airwaves to propagate incendiary materials by different groups in some broadcasting stations in recent times. While appreciating the need for educating, informing, and enlightening the public on issues bordering on our national development, the Commission wishes to seize this opportunity to advise broadcasters to be circumspect in the handling of news and current affairs programs by exhibiting the necessary professionalism. Consequently, the Commission implores broadcasters to advise guests and/or analysts on their platforms not to polarize the citizenry with divisive rhetorics in driving home their points. Ensure that every news and current affairs program conforms with the provision of the Nigeria Broadcasting Code. Take their social responsibility requirements seriously. Therefore, the Commission reminds broadcasters to be guided by the provisions of the Nigeria Broadcasting Code, especially the underlisted sections 5.3.3b. The broadcasters shall, in using political materials for news and current affairs programs, avoid hate speech, inflammatory, derogatory, and divisive remarks or allusions. 5.4.1f. The broadcaster shall not transmit divisive material that may threaten or compromise the indivisibility and indissolubility of Nigeria as a sovereign state. 5.5.6. The broadcaster shall have a delay mechanism to guard against possible undesirable content. Please note that every broadcast station is responsible for the content it transmits and shall be held liable for any content in violation of the Nigeria Broadcasting Code. Be advised. Signed, Malam Balarebe Shehu Ilela, Director General, Announcer.
Welcome back. More cities across the globe are getting hit by devastating floods resulting from changing climate. In Nigeria, experts are warning that not much can be done to turn down the tide this year, but a lot can be done to build the resilience of people by promoting safety measures for them to survive the floods. Odengia Fineface reports.
Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, NESA, predicted that 233 local government areas in 32 states of the Federation and the FCT fall within the highly probable flood risk areas this year 2022. Some of the highly probable flood risk states, including Kano, Jigawa, Bauchi, Lagos, and Edo, are already experiencing devastating flash floods that have resulted in deaths and large-scale destructions. Nigeria is in the second phase of the expected annual flood events, which is from July to September. Attention of the Hydrological Services Agency is also focused on the rivers Niger and Benue, which could overflow their banks and worsen the situation. While not much can be done now to prevent the floods, long-term nature-based solutions can be adopted to mitigate future occurrences and address the underlying trigger, which is climate change.
The urban development is taking down a lot of the natural areas, the natural green and everything, and those are erosion barriers, but we are taking them out. We cannot say we will not develop, but whenever any place is designated a relief line, we have to leave it at that. Otherwise, we will pay for it at a very, very high price. Because now we are seeing places that don't know flooding before becoming flooded.
Highly probable flood risk areas in Nigeria, comprising 220 local government areas, are expected to experience severe impacts on the population, agriculture, livelihoods, livestock, infrastructure, and the environment. Onengiye Fineface, NTA News.
To an average Lagosian, the issue of flooding and its negative impact is not alien, as it has become an annual challenge. The question is, why has flooding become a recurring decimal in Lagos? Can it be mitigated? Annie Daniels has details.
Although it is expected every year, Lagos residents have their fears, reservations and regrets about the rains.
Already here is river. From 1990, this was how we were entering river with school year.
From the island to the mainland, the story is the same, particularly during the rainy season. Loss of lives and property, series of calamities that leave many in despair and agony.
Everywhere water is enter with snake, with scorpion, akeke. Inside our house.
Our respondents blame man's activities on the environment for the perennial flooding experienced in the state.
Because of those dead they are throwing, look at the tires, look at all those rubbish. That is why the water is stationed there.
To mitigate flooding and its attendant impacts on the environment, some communities have taken the bull by the horns and have come up with measures to tackle it.
All this gutter has been, they have been blocked. We are trying to throw them so that the water can go inside the canal.
If the rain that even heavy, that the one that fell the last time, for this time around, I'm assuring you, understand it, there will be no flood.
These respondents, however, fear that the excavated silt may find its way back into the drains with the slightest rainfall.
Some are putting them inside the sack, so that by so doing, after the drying, it can be easy for them to carry.
The people need to encourage the enforcement by telling the governments, those who obstructed or those who are not heeding to the right directive.
They also discourage individuals and organizations from building on water discharge paths. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
And joining us in the studio now is Clement Nze, Director General, Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency. Mr. Nze, you're welcome to Weekend File.
Thank you, Kenna. It's my pleasure.
It's not as if this is a strange topic for most Nigerians, like those two reports mentioned there. It has become a recurrent decimal, not just in Nigeria, but everywhere in the world. But I think most Nigerians would want to know what is practical practicable in terms of mitigating it, at least to some high percentage, so that people don't continue to record losses year in, year out?
It seems quite painful enough. It is at the point when the flood is already here with us that we see people trying to take some actions, like the picture from Lagos. I think today I saw Anambra State Governor, Pastor Ludo, leading a campaign. Himself was inside the trench, clearing some of the blocked drainages. Early warning followed by early action by the citizens will go a long way to stop or reduce impact of flooding. You can't stop it anyway. If the relevant agencies of government at the federal level, inclusive of my own agency, come out very early in the year, as we normally do, to give information, give a warning, notify each state governor in Nigeria with regard to the local government areas in his own state that will be flooded or likely to be flooded if such actions are not taken. If those governors or the states take necessary precautionary measures, we will reduce the negative impact of flooding. So the problem we have here is that it is when the floods are here, when the rains are already here, already established, as we speak, all over the country, the rainy season has been established. It began around the third week of February in the southern part of Nigeria, and then sometime in June, it began in the northernmost part of Nigeria. So as we speak, July is already over. So everywhere now, flood is occurring, even in Medugri, in Jigawa, some lives have been lost. So when early information is given, prediction is given by NIMET about the rainfall pattern in the country, when it will start in each city or local government. And then my own agency, the Nigerian Hydrological Service Agency, will follow suit and then give you the prediction about flooding. And this normally comes up before the onset of rainy season in Nigeria. But the reality is that nothing happens until when the rains are already here.
All right. Having said that, we understand two things at the moment: the early warning signs and predictions. But is it possible for your agency and others alike to follow suit by making sure that those warnings and predictions, something is being done about them even before the rains come? By this question, I mean, is it ever possible for you and your sister agencies to move into some sort of action by way of, look, we told you about this, it's 2 months to time, you've not started anything? Is it possible along the line?
Unfortunately, ours is mainly advisory. The tools needed for enforcement resides with the states. But the problem is that of enforcement of the law that are already existing. There is no state in Nigeria that doesn't have state or what we call town planning authorities. Each state has it. Each state has state minister of water resources, state minister of environment. The town planning authorities are regulatory. They have the powers to do certain things by way of enforcement. In Abuja, where we are, for instance, we have development control department of the FCDA. But I think this year about 200 houses we are marked for demolition, and a lot of them have been demolished. We have been encouraging the state governments to follow suit. When you receive the information, when you receive the prediction, telling what is likely to happen in your localities, these are things you should do. It is expected of them to do the same, to do that. I can't move from here and enter into any state in Nigeria and begin to police any person.
or enforce any movement?
I can't do.
Does that have to do with the absence of some legal framework?
Well, like I mentioned, each state already has the existing law to do enforcement. I can't see my friend, my colleague in line mate. You wake up in the morning, you begin to police, go to stairs and say, you didn't clear drainage here. Why are you building house here? This house is within the waterways. It's within the flood plains. Why are you putting structures there? Even before I did it here in 2004, 2005, I saw some 3-story buildings. They were all pulled down. He was working with the master plan. He was working with the power that were vested in him. Let the state governors to listen.
We'll talk more, Mr. Nze. You're watching Weekend File on the NTA, and of course we're discussing 2022 flood impact and of course the mitigation challenges. Let's go on another break. Do stay with us.
See the boss brain with another banger. This one now better get 10 times. Don't 10 times of everything you try say you recharge. You got to get to double your data recharge. It's new and existing new customers. New customers forget extra 1 pass. Bonus credit. So get your new Glow SIM today. That's a 777 hash.
Come to the National Center for Women Development, a home away from home. With our beautifully renovated hotel, the center can also boast of a 1,700-seater auditorium for conferences. The edifice has an African, continental, and Arabian restaurants, a daycare creche for nursing mothers. There is also an ICT department for computer training, and also a training department for catering, tailoring, and hairdressing. For more information, please contact the National Center for Women Development, Tafa Balewa Way, opposite the Central Bank of Nigeria's TBN headquarters, Central District Area, Abuja, or telephone 070-511-1163. National Center for Women Development, rebranding, restructuring, and repositioning.
All I do is win. I wake up, I win. I close my eyes, and I win. We got a messy girlfriend. Keep up on me, come on, let's keep it to the world. Independent women, come on, now let's lead. I'ma keep it to the world. Stop.
Wow, you look great. Did you just bring it out? Darling Superstar, great that they salon fresh no matter what.
We are the dynamic global energy company of choice, steering the course of Nigeria's biggest export industry. With years of commitment, delivering greater value and improving lives. NNPC is transformed to better meet your everyday energy needs and retain the position as the largest contributor to the Nigerian economy, generating clean, sustainable energy with integrity, excellence, and creating value for all stakeholders. We are NNPC Watt.
Energy for tomorrow. Energy for tomorrow. Come on, let's go.
Music is fuel that fires up our soul. Today, African music has a dominant place on the world map. This massive music movement creating waves across the globe.
I have seen the evolution and the growth of this industry.
But every movement starts with a story, and the best place to start any story is at the very beginning.
There's a hormonal energy that can only have come from Africa.
See the boss brain with another banger. This one now better get 10 times. Don't 10 times of everything you try to say you recharge. You got to get to double your data recharge. It's new and existing new customers. New customers forget extra 1 pass. Bonus credit. So get your new Glow SIM today. That's a 777 hash.
Have your PVC ready. Conduct yourselves orderly. Join the queue. Cast your vote secretly. Thumbprint correctly. Do not waste your vote. Do not sell your vote. Secure your future. If you sell your vote, you have sold good roads, electricity, water, education, good health care, etc. Be part of nation building. Cast your vote for honest candidates. Shun electoral violence. You could lose your life for nothing, for nothing, for nothing. This message is from the National Orientation Agency.
In a swift move to arrest flooding in Edo State, government has directed contractors handling flood control-related projects back to site. Goodluck Anaini reports that the citizens' participation in tackling the menacing threat of flooding in Benin metropolis now occupies the front burner as various flood control programs targeted at the citizens have been initiated by the state government.
The Nigeria Hydrological Services early this year predicted intense flooding of many states in the country. The flooding experienced by residents across the Benin metropolis has no doubt authenticated this prediction. One of the affected residents say her son was rescued after being swept away as he was trying to save his pets from the heavy flood.
Jesus, Jesus, no, you know, if not, don't enter, climb upstairs.
At Edosonwa axis of Igbo Road, some residents have been trapped in their houses by flood, while those at 19th Street in Igbo, including the Trinitarian Orphanage, housing over 35 inmates, including 3-month-old triplets, suffered the devastating effects, with properties worth millions of naira destroyed. The incident at the Usolo axis, described by many as pathetic, left the residents with no option than to scoop out water from their threatened homes.
What the drainage are deseated in Edo State, there will be no problem of flooding.
I'm confused. I'm just begging for help. The last one that felt was very much that I had to enter our compound, even inside the flats.
Curtailing the situation, government believes, is a collective responsibility, which is why it has commenced sensitizing the public against harmful environmental practices, in addition to deploying other flood mitigating mechanisms.
What we are doing now is to, first of all, notice, they send a notice to all the residents to clean their drain. We are also engaging the government to see how we can bring back some element of that compulsory reserve hour of environmental sanitation.
Observers say with the new approach by government coupled with citizens' participation, they see great improvement ahead. In Benin, Goodluck Anaini, NTA News.
And about 73,000 persons and 1,299 households have been affected by flooding as a result of heavy downpour experienced in some parts of Adamawa State in the last 1 month, especially those residing along the bank of River Benue. Rayanu Bala reports that the Adamawa State government, in collaboration with critical stakeholders, are making efforts to mitigate the impact of the disaster through increased awareness, among other measures.
One of the states in the country predicted to experience flood this year, with houses, farmlands and other valuables already destroyed as a result of heavy downpour. 5 out of the 10 local governments in the state predicted to experience flood are on the high risk because of their proximity to River Benue.
There are 4 culverts is being done by the federal government under the Office of the Ecological Fund. But when the water comes, it has flushed all the site of the culverts. Now the culvert, it has become a problem to us. Once there is rain, one cannot pass even by foot, talk less of keke napep, no machine or his vehicle.
The flood has already affected our farmlands.
The impact of the flood is disastrous to our community. Adamawa State government and other critical stakeholders are making effort to mitigate the impact of the disaster. They called on people residing at the flood-prone areas to relocate to safer grounds for the safety of their lives and valuables.
You are able to identify some higher grounds in an event of flooding. When people are being trapped, we can evacuate them to these areas.
We value
life as humanitarian managers. And that's why we have to emphasize on that. It's not about giving out the relief material. Our concern is about disaster reduction.
The issue of environmental safety is everybody's business. It's not just for the government. The government, of course, is trying to through sensitization of people.
In Ola, Rayanu Bala, NTA News.
Oh, well, from those two reports, you would understand that most Nigerians are beginning to record huge losses as a result of flooding in some states and still counting. And that takes us to the issue of human-induced factors as far as flooding is concerned in Nigeria. We still have Clement Nze, Director General, Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency. Let's quickly go back to this same issue of town planning authorities, which we have their presence in almost everywhere around Nigeria. Is it that they are not doing their jobs? Where does corruption and negligence of duty coming, even as we continue to look at this menace? Because it keeps on happening. People build where they ought not to build. Year in, year out, people complain, and yet these things continue to repeat themselves.
I think you inferred that, the reason for that. The fact that people refuse to enforce, either because of some inducements, that you refuse to do what you need to do. Certain minimum distance is allowed as an offset from banks of the rivers or flood plains, natural flood plains, that you shouldn't encroach upon. But what happens? These people, Israel don't have the capacity, because maybe you have an office by name, Town Planning Authority, but they are not peopled by the relevant professionals to man such departments of government, or the people that are there are involved in some form of corrupt practices. People have been asking, you are demolishing a house, but who approved the building plan? And again, coming back to the issue of professionalism. Before you choose a location to build houses or to have an estate, for instance, you must do proper study of that environment. By mere visual appreciation, looking with your natural eyes, you may not be able to see. But if you utilize the professional to do what we call flood vulnerability mapping, flood inundation mapping of the location, it will come out with various elevations, and then you'll be able to give the pathway for the flood to pass. As you are locating plots for houses, you also define the one for nature, where flood will pass. But up to the time, this is not done. At the end of the day, because other people are not properly trained, they don't understand. They can just go out and issue, plots to people to build houses. So it's a combination of factors. One, how professionally competent are those people that man the town planning authorities in the states to be able to know? Are there proper scientific study carried out before you allocate land for people to build? Then the second part of it is corruption. You collect money, you approve building structures in wrong places that will at the end of the day become a menace to everybody.
So how do we checkmate that particular area?
Do what you're supposed to do. Let proper professionals be put in those locations, and let the government have the willpower. I will always say it, maybe at the state levels, because like now we're going for election next year. Somebody may say, you demolish my house because I'm from SDP. That's why you demolish my house. But in Abuja here, the minister nobody votes him in or out. So he exercises his powers, for instance, here in Abuja, FCT. I'm just thinking. But I believe strongly that to do the right thing, you have to have the political will to do it.
In other words, to handle or tackle this issue, a lot depends on us as a people.
Yes.
So that we're to minimize the human-induced factors.
Yes.
Right? Thanks for your advice this evening on Weekend File. We wish you good luck, because it's indeed a huge task for not just your agency and other sister agencies, but Nigerians who are suffering huge losses at the moment due to flooding. Thanks.
Welcome here, pleasure. Thank you.
Right, that was Clement Nze, Director General, Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency. Of course, you are still watching Weekend File on the NTA. Let's go on our final break.
The 57-kilometer Lagos-Ibadan Railway is the first double-track standard gauge railway to be built in West Africa. The Mobolaji Johnson train station is a masterpiece, an infrastructure that is gradually becoming an iconic building in Lagos State. The modern facilities put the station on a world map of train stations. Likewise, other new train stations across the country built to world-class standards. The train and its convenience is indeed an admirable effort, with commendations from Nigerians.
This is a station that we have to commend the federal government for putting a beautiful face, empowering us in Lagos State, not only in economic and political arena.
I can say that I'm really impressed with the infrastructures in place. Kudos to the Minister of Transportation. Kudos to the federal government.
Truly, good things are coming out of Nigeria, and the federal government is deserving of all the applause.
We'll now bring you updates on the ongoing Commonwealth Games in Birmingham.
Team Nigeria's Bolanle Shogbamu has crashed out of the Birmingham 2022 Commonwealth Games boxing events. Fighting in round 16 of the women's middleweight category, Shogbamu lost 4-1 to England's Jodie Wilkinson. But it was good news for Nigeria in the men's round 16 light middleweight as Abdulaziz Oshoba progressed into the next stage. Oshoba advanced after overcoming Carl Hill of the Bahamas. In the table tennis event, Nigeria's women's team have crashed out in Birmingham after they lost 3-2 to England Saturday, while the men advanced to the quarterfinals of the event with a 3-2 win over Cyprus. However, despite their exits from the women's team events, the female table tennis players still have a chance of a podium finish as they are still in singles, doubles and mixed doubles events of the game.
We were just unlucky because from the beginning we had a very tough work. So I think we gave it best.
Also on Saturday, Victor Kiplanga produced an impressive performance to give Uganda their first ever Commonwealth Games marathon gold in Birmingham. The 22-year-old timed 2 hours, 10 minutes and 55 seconds. As at the time of filing these reports, Australia occupied first place, New Zealand are in second place, while host England stay third.
And a check now on Sunday's weather.
Forecast. Morning thunderstorms are expected over parts of Sokoto, Zamfara, Kaduna and Kebbi, as well as parts of Borno, Yobe and Jigawa State. However, pockets of rains are anticipated over the Federal Capital Territory, Plateau, Nasarawa, Niger, down to parts of Enugu, Edo, Delta, Southern Ondo, Cross River and Akwa Ibom states. Later during the day, there are better prospects of rainfall activities over the southern parts of the country, including the central parts of the country. However, isolated thunderstorms are expected over the northern region. I'm Theodora Itum. Thank you for watching.
The NTA is still vehemently campaigning against rape and rapists in the society. Please do identify with us on that. Thanks for watching Weekend File tonight. I am Kenan Ima Aborike. Good night.